And with that said, I would like to now turn to Brandon. Hey, Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thanks. My name is Brandon, and like many of you, I want to stay engaged with my local community. Uh, so one of the ways that I found to do that was to engage in city council meetings and try to stay up to date with the things that are going on. But one of the problems, of course, is how much time it takes. Because a lot of those meetings can end up being 3-4 hours long. Like any engineer, when I get frustrated, I built a tool to solve my own problem. So I built a tool called YATSEE, which automatically downloads city council meetings and then processes everything through a pipeline and then summarizes using a local LLM. So let me share my screen. So a lot of this is actually going to take longer than what the time allotted is. So I just sort of prepared everything. So basically, YouTube downloader, industry standard tools, YT, DLP. So you just push this in, and it'll download everything back to a time frame. So I have it set so it's a to and from date. So you can go as far back as whatever the archive is, or you can just set it so it only looks back every 30 days. And so when you're running it on a schedule, then you're not looking through everything. And so once you download everything, then you want to format it into a file format that's capable of being processed by Whisper. So Whisper's a language model used, to do transcription. So the next step here is we actually take that audio that comes from, and actually it could be any source, right, as long as it's an audio format. And then we actually take that and run that through the transcribe process, which then one of the things with Whisper is it allows you to have hot words. So at this point, you can actually take the transcript right from YouTube, right? So YouTube already provides a transcript. So you can actually go and manually grab that if you'd like. But this automates that whole process. And so this is all Python here, and it'll process whatever files in a folder, or you can give it one single file. And then the next step is once we download everything and we actually create the VTT file, so it has the timestamps and breaks everything into segments. This actually strips out the timestamps and fixes any multiple ums and uhs and basically anything that I'm saying right now. It would clean all that up and make it so it's readable in a text format, and then it dumps it out into a folder that you can process. And I do this based on what model. So again, this is all running locally on every model. So you could run this through ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever other API-based tokenizers. And then the next step here is this is where we get into the summarization. So there's quite a few options here that you can choose. So a lot of this I set up to be automatic, but if I don't like the output or I want to test a different output, I can actually develop a new prompt and then just manually run that through. And of course, since I have all of the command flags, this can all be scripted, and so you can have multiple different pipelines running multiple different outputs. So you can take the same input of the full meeting transcript, and then you can actually parse it one time for like vote count. You can parse it one time for who's there, and you can parse it one time for summaries. And so you can see, again, there's lots of information here on how to sort of use this. And then here's some of the local models that I have. So I just use Olama locally. And then this is all running on a little bit older laptop. So it's a RTX 2060. So it's not state of the art. It's something that's pretty reasonable for most people to be able to afford. So you're not spending a ton of money on API usage, and you can run this locally if you choose, right? The other thing too, I think that's interesting is the difference in the models, right? So you've got the different, parameters and whatnot, but even just the different model providers and the differences with the outputs. which here's some samples of that. So again, this is stuff that would take too long to run, but I went ahead and just pre-processed all of this stuff. And so you can see when it runs, it punches out the Mistral latest, and then it actually does a multi-pass process. So it takes whatever the meeting and chunks it, and then we'll run it through. And then one of the issues with the chunking, is to be able to keep know who the speakers are throughout the process. And then with that, I can actually, and then the other thing I do too is I sort of keep a running tab. And this is not exactly accurate. This is just more of a rough estimate, but I do keep a pricing tally so I could see if you did run this in the cloud, roughly how much each one of these would cost. Again, just to give you estimates, if you want to run it. And then the code here is, so I keep everything. So with Whisper, if you just run it through without any hinting, sometimes it hallucinates even at that level. So when it, so we have a lady mayor, and what I've seen sometimes is that it would say sir or Mr. or Mr. Mayor, things like that. So completely off base, right? So so what I did is I actually would go through and run permutations. So you would put titles in, you would put names in, and then this would actually run multiple permutations on the different titles and whatnot, and then it would sort of load the model to pick the right choice. So when it would come to who's the mayor, it would know that it's Mrs. Mayor, or something like that. And then that's actually done within the transcribe audio. And so we just load that from a TOML file. And then with Whisper and faster Whisper, which you can choose which one you want, you can actually load in hot words is what they call it. And so.
Gotcha.
And then, go ahead.
I was going to say that the question from the chat kind of has to do with your addressing the ambiguity right there, which is from Ben. Given the mixed results research on summarization via LLM GPT, aren't there concerns about using them for important contexts like org meetings? I think this is for you, right? It's not something you're distributing to everybody.
Right. So this is a personal, but then so part of the reason that I keep the VTT file available is because it has timestamps. And maybe eventually I'll actually be able to take the part within the meeting that gets summarized and link it back to the original video. Because that's the thing, that there's always the source of truth, which is the YouTube video. So you can always go back to reference that. But it would be really nice to kind of have an idea of where he would look, right? Instead of just having to watch the whole thing. So there's some of that's potentially going to come through here. But and then this is the this is the summarized transcript stuff. And so ultimately we do up at the top here. So a lot of this is sort of automated, right? So I also do pre-parsing, where I actually look at the first couple thousand characters of the meeting, and then I can make a classifier. And so I can classify which type of meeting it is based on the first 30-40 seconds of speech that would be transcribed, and then I just map that to each pass too. So once I find out that it's a council meeting versus a finance committee versus like their committee of the whole, zoning committee, stuff like that, once you identify that, then you can apply the appropriate prompt, because again, each meeting has a different format, so you kind of gotta steer the LLM a little bit differently to get the output that you want each time. So it's not a perfect mapping one-to-one. And then here's the prompts. And again, this is all in my GitHub, so you can go and just check it out if you're interested in it. But so again, depending on what type of information I want to pull out of whichever meeting it is, I can do based on the different prompts.
That's perfect. Can you link your GitHub in the chat? I'm certain.
Yeah, you bet.
People do it. I'm going to use this against my HOA.
Yeah. So and then again, like I get and so I've done all of this with free Chat GPT and free Gemini and local models. So this didn't cost anything other than my time and, you know, a laptop. When you can run this on the CPU instance, it's going to take a lot longer, but it is doable. So again, so for people that are, you know, maybe don't have the resources or don't have, you know, a lot of money to sort of buy new hardware, you know, because that's a lot of people in the AI space. You know, it's like, oh, I'm buying a $3,000 video card to jam through all these projects, which is awesome. But you know, the reality is to bring this stuff to normal people, you kind of have to. Oops, sorry about the dog.
Quite the
So
opposite. So you have people added about 3 or 4 times more time for you today, but we're out of time. With that
I'm
said,
sorry.
but no, it's okay. We enjoyed listening to you so much. But I would have liked to have had time to ask you to see the dog, but we're gonna have to wait for that for another time.
Okay.
Priorities. Right, the dog comes first.